What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We got another day with Doge over here. So today, or last episode, we did some ducting and stuff on the Miata. Helped a little bit, switched to the OEM fan, cut the shroud in half, unrestricted some of the airflow. The thing actually was restricting, and it helped, but it's still no bueno. Car's still getting hot. Freeway temps are down a couple degrees, but it's Arizona. There's no saving that. So one thing that everybody keeps yelling at me to get, and I've been told to get since I got my Miata in general, long before the turbo, was a coolant reroute kit. So that's what I got. And then just because Arizona, safe measure, got a 180-degree thermostat to go with it as well, because the one that comes in this flying Miata, or the Q-Max, Supermiata, whatever, reroute, is 195. They say that's optimal temperature, but they obviously don't live in Arizona. I think they're actually in like Colorado or SoCal or something like that. So their opinion is irrelevant in this case. So let's unbox this thing really quick and then get to work. So we got this is the thermostat they send you, Superstat 195-degree one, but again, not using it. Got all the little fittings, and they send you some gasket material. This is stuff I use anyway, either the black or the gray, but I like the gray because it Honda Bond, and I'm kind of religious when it comes to that stuff, or superstitious. And we've got a big old thick boy long silicone hose. They send you extra so that way you can trim it back in case you have to go around some fancy intake manifolds. And this is the actual kit. So we got a few pieces. I think this is the front block off plate. So it's got your sensor port for the, what is that? Oh yeah, sensor port for your temp gauge on the cluster, and then an extra 1/8 MPT, which is what I'll be taking advantage of for my water temp gauge, my glow shift one or whatever. This is the front part of the back housing, or the hose coupler side of it. Got your main section, and then got the other part of the plate for it, and somewhere in here they also send you a bleeder screw. Yeah, so that way you don't get air trapped back here. But yeah, so far it seems to be pretty nicely machined. And one thing that I do notice right off the bat is they take some of the anodizing off right here, because you have to reuse your sensor, your ECT sensor for the back of the head, and a lot of people were having issues with the anodize not grounding it. So it looks like they updated that, which is cool. So alright, so kind of a decently simple install, just a lot to do. So got to take this upper hose off. This is my temp sensor for my gauge. So this is just essentially going to be moved right there. Still got the wire, not worried about it. Yeah, pull the upper hose off, unbolt the top of the housing, and then have to really going to try and do it without, you know, you're going to have to take that crank angle sensor off, which sucks. So move some of this loom out of the way, take your ignition coils off, or the whatever this thing is, just 2 bolts right there, and then should be able to, worst comes to worst, we may have to jack the back of the motor up a little bit, but I don't think we're going to have to. We're just going to have to think skinny, and I don't know, I think with some of this hose out of the way and the loom set aside, we should be able to access it pretty easy. So something right out the box that I noticed is this is the Superstat, thermostat, whatever, that they send you. It's definitely not a Miata one, because this is the Miata one. Obvious size difference there, because they want you to pre-assemble this outside, so that way you can use the C-clip, because they send you a C-clip in here to hold the thermostat in place for probably assembly purposes. But yeah, so that's slightly problematic for me, just because I wanted the 180-degree thermostat, but that's not looking like it's going to happen. So maybe I can find one that's in this size. It's 180-degree. As for now, I guess we're going to have to run it. So thanks for nuttin' flying Miata, but that wasn't their fault, that was mine. I'm just dumb. So let's get this thing assembled really quick. Went and found a 180-degree thermostat. So we just called O'Reilly's, went down there, got it for, I think this one in specific was a Buick LeSabre, and we did a 95, but it's pretty much, if you go on Supermiata's website, you can get the part number. I don't know where I put the box.
I think they actually have it on there.
Oh, I mean, here's the, yeah, this is the part number. Part number is 3848, but it's a really common thermostat that Supermiata or Q-Max use, so you don't have to worry about kind of figuring that part out. Yeah, just a little guy. So again, you can't use a normal Miata one, maybe if you trim it up, but yeah, so Buick LeSabre one, got a 180-degree thermostat. It was $5, can't really complain. So now we can try and get this in. If you're unsure how to tell, if the box doesn't say, on the bottom plunger looking thing here, this brass thing, this one says 195, and then the bottom of this one does say 180. Obviously my lens won't zoom in or focus enough, but you get the idea. Starting things off, gonna drain some of the coolant out. Not all of it, no need to go that excessive, just enough to be able to take these hoses off without spilling it everywhere.
Working Larry.
Look at this guy. On the yob.
On the yob.
Alright, well, we're on the job too. We were going to take the skid plate off, but I remember that I routed my coolant, or my intercooler pipe through it, so that's a no-go because I don't feel like dealing with that. So I'm going to trim up, get my access port hole for the bung on the radiator opened a little bit with some dikes.
So your nickname is access port hole.
Is it?
Yeah.
So my short ass arms will reach that one.
Just ran into some very unexpected circumstances. I just tried pulling the lazy way and pulling the drain plug on the radiator, and she pissed everywhere, all over me. So that didn't go as well as I had hoped. I made a mess, but we got the radiator drained enough, so progress is progress. And this boy just sitting over here filming me, not even helping. I'm drowning. Okay, well, yeah. Can take these hoses off now. Just fighting that
welcome
the hose back there.
Welcome to Struggle City.
Yeah, so I just got this top piece off. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean off this gasket material and then just go ahead and throw on the front housing here. Actually, there's pretty much nothing to clean. I can just wipe that off because it all came off here with the gasket. But yeah, get that thing on here, and then the front section is done. Thermostat obviously does not go back in here. It'll go in the back section once we can get access to it. This was kind of a pain. There's a green connector on the back, and it's one of those stupid spring clip style ones. So you got to get 2 screwdriver or a flathead to pull each set apart. Mine is very brittle, so be very careful with that. And I don't know if you guys can see it back here, but we got the 12mm bolt here. Got to take this heater hose off, and I got a 12mm bolt adjacent on the bottom, and then the whole thing will just kind of pop off, and then just got to clean it up a little bit, slap the assembly on, and that's that. So here's the plate that's on the back. You're gonna have to reuse this sensor, so be careful pulling that off. This is the front cap. I'm just getting the sensor out of it. This thing's pretty old, but it still works. So I am going to use some of that silicone sealer to put on the threads. And thread this into the top. And then we're going to assemble this out of the car, and we can slap it on. I'm going to go ahead and start putting this thing together. Like I said, this thing has the anodize lasered out or whatever, like not anodized right there for the sensor. They send you a big crush washer. It's a little too big than I would like, so I'm going to reuse the old one because it's still good. And we're just going to thread that in, and because it's using the crush wash, we don't have to use the silicone on it. So, thread that in there. This one happens to be a 19, so. Okay, so that's pretty good. Feels pretty tight. Might double check it when I get it on the car. So yeah, now we can go ahead and thread this into the other side, which is right here. And so they send you 3 Allen head bolts to put the housing together with, and then your bleeder screw. Your bleeder screw already has a thread lock type sealant on there, so we're just going to go ahead and thread that right in. Goes just into the top, and it is NPT thread, so it will get tight really quick. And you just snug it down a little bit more. Then on the front here, this is for your water bung. We're not going to put that on until it's in the car. And then this port here is a 1/8 NPT, so if you don't have a sensor to put in there, which I don't, I'm going to just go ahead and use one of these block off fittings they have. But I'm going to put some silicone on it so that way it doesn't leak. Just thread that in there. and you're good. Last portion to put on is just to connect two housings together. I'm gonna go ahead and put silicone sealant all the way around here and sandwich it together. All assembled, ready to slap this thing back in the car. So it's going to sit in the car like that, so the water port is going to be facing towards the passenger side because you want your bleeder screw up, so that way you can let air out. How's the gasket material coming on?
Not well.
Super tedious.
It's fighting.
Using a flashlight and a little inspection mirror.
Yeah, it is fighting so much.
But the good news is we did not have to take, at least yet, the crank angle sensor off, so I'm pretty confident we can get this on without it. And I did buy a gasket for the thermostat when the Fly Miata sent me there, so it does fit here. So we're gonna play it safe and use both gasket and silicone, because it double the seal, less than no leaks, something like that. So
All the sealant.
all of it, whole tube. What am I getting caught on? Is that the throttle cable?
Throttle cable does go down there, yeah.
No, that's speedo cable.
Oh.
Wanting to hit the... Is that really gonna fit?
Ooh, and then she said there was no way.
Because it looks like the speedo cable literally sits like against it.
He only has flashlights
Is it
here.
on?
Can you see? Yeah, that's on.
Get that damn nut on there. Got the hose kind of on. They send you a lot. So I wasn't going to use this originally, but I'm going to end up having to because this hose, I don't really like the idea of curving it around right here all tight. So I'm reusing this section here and just attaching it to cut it to right there. And I just plug that hole there so that way I don't have to, that can stay there. Simple, effective. Hopefully it works.
I don't know about simple.
Yeah, no, and it's kind of tight, really tight. Hard fit, and this is probably why people take the crank angle sensor off, but so far this is proof that you don't have to, so muy bueno. Well, hose clamp sucks absolute ass. I had to have one person hold it from over there, use a stupid small ratchet wherever it went, and kind of bury it deep down in there. That was terrible, stupid. I don't know why they did that, and whatever, it's done. We can just cut the hose, put everything back together, and go get some Taco Bell.
You know what I mean?
Got it all pretty much put back together. Gotta bleed it, but I have to wait for my V-band clamp to show up since mine decided to break and add some coolant, but I don't know how you're supposed to access that bleeder screw, so just in case I put this on hand tight so I can take it off. Hopefully I can still run the car with that not bolted to the head. I don't see why you shouldn't be able to, because that plug over on the other shock tower is actually what charges that, so we'll find out. If not, I might have to get flexible with some bendy ratchets and go down through the center. But I'm gonna have to come back to that later because I'm gonna let this sit for a few hours with the silicone cure. And that way it does its job.
3 weeks later.
So it's been a few hours now. I'm gonna come out here and try and bleed it. So upon actually reading the instructions, it tells you, because when you put the coil pack on, you have absolutely pretty much no access to this bleeder screw. So the instruction says, correct the bleeder screw open and then fill the coolant and just kind of wait till it stops bubbling out, you know? So it's already pre-loosened, so that's good that I checked that anyway. So yeah, we'll leave that loosened. I'm gonna go ahead, add my coolant back in. All the silicone should be pretty well cured by now. It's been sitting all day. It's 115 out today, 112, whatever. So yeah, I'm gonna try and fill this and get that bled. Just want to thank Doge again for coming to help me out on this. That was really cool. So if you guys want to give him a follow on Instagram, go hit him up at Doge_S2000 and check out his pretty cool cars. I don't know if you guys can hear that air whistling out of there, but it's working. Oh, cap off helps. This thing stopped guzzling water, this thing started puking a bit out, and then it started turning into a pretty solid stream, so I capped it. Should be good, hopefully don't leak, so now I'm gonna bolt this back up. I'm just gonna do the top 2 bolts, because it's so dang hard to get this weird shaped bolt all the way back. Shouldn't have any issues with that, and got my new V-band on, because the other one broke, so downpipe's good to go. So let me bolt this ignition pack back up, zip tie my line out of the way, and then we can get the back of the car down. So that way I can hot bleed it. So the car's ready to be fired up, but before I do that, I'm gonna fire up the computer really quick, open up Tuner Studio, and we're going to tell the fans to kick on a little sooner. I did put a 180-degree thermostat in here because I need more cooling efficiency. Arizona, turbo, yeah, two things that don't mix. So I'm gonna turn the fan switch down to probably around 188 degrees. I think the factory thermostat opens at 195, fans kick on at 203. So yeah, I'll do 188 degrees and see where that gets me. So we can just bring over here, Tuner Studio. All right, so we're gonna go open our last project. And that should be our last tune. Nothing should be messed with. Yeah, it looks like everything's good because I did add the AFR thing on there. So we're just gonna go over here to accessories, and then we have thermo fan right at the top. Fan mode on and off, blah blah blah. Fan temperature. So we're gonna say 188. And we're just gonna hit burn. Let's give it a quick checkup really quick. Everything's good, sensors plugged in. Hooked up, dry, everything's hooked up, exhaust hooked up, coils hooked up. We should be good. Let's fire it up. Still don't know why this thing starts as hard as it does, but it is what it is. What can you do? Oh, just let it do its thing. It's been idling for about 10 minutes now. The one thing that I noticed right off the bat is that my water temp gauge is only showing 158 and it's going up a lot slower, whereas my actual water temp right now is showing 187. So I don't know if exactly what's causing that. I obviously left my water temp sensor in the same spot, so maybe now that the coolant's actually flowing in and then coming out the back, this is getting a cooler reading than what this is. But I'm not sure because before it would go in and come back out the front, so this was a little bit more accurate. Second thing is with my exhaust leak being fixed since I trued out or flattened out those V-bands, my AFRs went kind of way rich because it was tucking in a lot of oxygen at idle, so I had to let the auto tune kind of do its thing. But yeah, I'm kind of just waiting for my fan to kick on. It should be kicking on any second now. It's at 189. Oh, would you look at that? It's actually already on. So far, so good. I don't see any water or coolant coming out. I don't smell anything. The V-band sounds much better though, I'll tell you what. It doesn't sound like it's loud. I don't hear that tractor tick no more. But so far so good. Not seeing any leaks, thankfully. So before I end this video, I just wanted to take the car around just a little bit, see if my AFRs and everything have changed while driving because my fixed exhaust leak, or if it was just at idle that it was differentiated. Because I was told after 2,500 RPM it really shouldn't make a difference. So we'll see. If it does, then I'll just use the auto tune and let it correct itself. But so I can also watch my water temp. So I'm thinking that the reason my water temp gauge shows different than what the ECU is reading now is because the ECU gets its signal from the back of the head where the coolant should be hot, whereas where the gauge is getting its sensor reading from is where the hose used to be, which in this case should be after the radiator has cooled it. So it should be cooler at the front of the block than it is at the back of the block, where it's actually already gone through, obviously taking the heat from the engine and the combustion and all that and bringing it back around to the radiator to be cooled. So I think that's the difference in temperature. I think that's why I'm seeing that. So let's drive it around a little bit, try and verify that, check out the tune a little bit, see if it's still good, and then we'll end this video out. So I got 156 right here, been idling for a bit, 163 down here, so we'll just kind of watch the chase, see what happens. Alright, so just drove it up the street, probably a couple miles away, just to get some gas. After I got moving, I actually noticed that this water temp gauge is showing pretty much what the computer's showing. They're both at 181 right now, so maybe it was just because I was idling earlier and I needed to get the coolant actually flowing more. I don't know, something like that. I'm gonna go with that theory. Maybe I just need to get it flowing more. Normally, by now, without the reroute, I'm already in the 190s, and yeah, obviously that's a bit of an issue, so progress. So I've been driving the car for, I don't know, 30 minutes now on the freeway, doing about 4,000 RPMs this whole time. And the temp gauge got up to 190 and hasn't gone past that. So I'd say we're in pretty good waters. But again, it's not 110 out right now. It's probably about 100, maybe 95. So real test will be tomorrow, but I think we're pretty much in the clear. Alright guys, car made it back home, totally fine. I was able to actually do quite a bit of pulls. I didn't film a lot of them because the car is very hard to film while driving, and so I didn't have my GoPro with me, my bad. Hopefully you guys found this video enjoyable. If you did, please let me know in the comments down below. Please slap that like button. If you're new to the channel, hopefully you've considered subscribing by now. Got more cool stuff coming up on the Miata, on the Integra hopefully soon, on the Del Sol hopefully soon, Lord willing, money abiding or whatever. So anyways guys, go buy a sticker, do what you love, forget about the rest, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.